You're watching the Real Football Network. I'm John Pollard, and this is Real Football Analytics. Today we thought we'd talk about team defenses, in particular, the blitz impact of team defenses. Now that we're 8 weeks into the season, the personnel, the tendencies, and the schemes of these team defenses become self-evident, and we thought it would be a great opportunity to take a look at teams who are great when they blitz and don't blitz in impacting the opposing team's offenses. Let's go look at the charts. Now, before we take a look at the charts, let's talk a little bit about what we mean when we say blitz impact or an impact play for a team defense. Simply put, an impact play is when the defense either creates a quarterback sack, a pressure, or generates a turnover as a result of blitzing or non-blitzing. So our first chart that we're looking at here, it's ordered by the top teams in the NFL for the first 8 weeks of the season who have the highest impact percentage when blitzing. Simply put again, these are teams, when blitzing, either sack the quarterback, create pressure, or get a turnover, which could be a fumble or an interception. At the top of the list, certainly the number one defense in the league through the first 8 weeks, the Denver Broncos. Almost 50% of the time when they blitz, they are effective at generating a turnover or putting pressure on the quarterback. And that's a pretty remarkable number when you look at the fact that they have a high frequency of blitzes as well at 112. That's in the top half of the blitz frequency in the first 8 weeks of the season. Now, the Denver Broncos are also playing this week as we go into week 9. They're playing Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck, year to date, is the 7th worst quarterback in terms of completion percentage when facing the blitz. He only has a 51.2% completion percentage, so that could be an interesting matchup or a challenging matchup for the Indianapolis Colts, certainly also with another offensive coordinator coming in with Pep Hamilton being let go this week. As we move down the list, some other teams, let's talk about the New England Patriots. They're number 2 in blitz impact, but you'll notice as we look at the blitz plays, they've actually blitzed almost 50% less than the Denver Broncos. So this is a team that when they blitz, they're impactful, but they don't blitz all the time. They mix it in, which can obviously create game planning challenges for any opposing offense. And moving down the list further again, though the Chicago Bears have had a challenging year, they have probably the lowest frequency of blitzes for the first 8 weeks, but they're still impactful when they blitz. And you can go on further down the line. Some of the defenses that we all recognize as being very strong, the Seattle Seahawks, high impact with blitzing. The Minnesota Vikings young defense, very effective at getting to the quarterback and generating turnovers. You know, interestingly enough too, I'll talk about the Arizona Cardinals. Even with the departure of Todd Bowles going to the New York Jets, the ex-defensive coordinator for the Cardinals have maintained their integrity in terms of being the highest blitzing team in the NFL. The second highest blitzing team in the NFL year to date, the St. Louis Rams are on the list. So they're going to come at you all the time, but they also are effective when they do apply the blitz. All right, let's take a look at the second chart. Now again, this chart is indicating the teams who have the lowest impact play percentage when blitzing. These teams, when blitzing, they rarely get a sack or create a pressure and do not generate a lot of turnovers. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers for a second. Pittsburgh, low impact on the blitz. You'll also notice they have an extremely high frequency with 144 blitz plays year to date. They're facing Derek Carr and the Oakland Raiders this week. You know, Derek Carr, for the first 8 weeks of the season, he's the number 4 quarterback in terms of completion percentage against the blitz. Derek Carr has completed 66.2% of all of his passes when blitzed. This could be a great matchup or mismatch for the Oakland Raiders as they face the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's jump to the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins, losing Cameron Wake, this is going to hurt this number even more. Miami's going to be forced to blitz without Cameron because they have to get away from that 4-man rush scheme. They're actually playing Tyrod Taylor and the Buffalo Bills. Tyrod, again, is projected to be starting this week. Tyrod Taylor is the number 1 quarterback for the first 8 weeks of the season when facing the blitz in terms of completion percentage. Tyrod has a 69.7% completion percentage when blitzing. Again, this is an area, whether you're setting your fantasy lineups or cheering for one of your favorite teams, this is a mismatch opportunity that the Buffalo Bills could take advantage of. Now for our third chart, we're going to transition to the teams who have the highest impact percentage when not blitzing. This is a 3 or 4-man rush. When applied, these teams either have a quarterback sack, a quarterback pressure, or a turnover generated. Couple of things we want to point out here. Teams that are on this list having a high impact when not blitzing, and on one of the original list we looked at, high impact when blitzing, these are great defenses who create problems for opposing offenses because they can either blitz or not blitz in their schemes. They can pivot either way based on the direction of the game, and that is a challenge. The teams that we're talking about here who are on both lists, high impact when blitzing and high impact when not blitzing, number 1, the Denver Broncos. They have a 31.6% impact percentage when not blitzing. Again, they're playing Andrew Luck, who has been challenged with the blitz this year. Perhaps they'll have a heavier dose of blitz, But again, they can pivot to a 4-3-4 man rush and still create challenges for the Indianapolis Colts. Another team on both lists, the Arizona Cardinals are on this list at number 2. And then moving down to the Seattle Seahawks. Again, this defense early on in the season seen much maligned. They are getting better and they're getting healthier, and they are a high-impact team when blitzing and not blitzing. Again, this is a massive challenge for offenses. What do you scheme against? Because these teams can pivot either way. For our last chart, let's take a look at the low impact percentage when not blitzing. And what this means is these teams have challenges getting to the quarterback or creating turnovers with a 3 or the more frequent 4-man rush. At the top of the list, of course, we see the San Diego Chargers. They're only having an impact play 19.2% of the time when not blitzing. What does that mean for San Diego Chargers fans? Draft a pass rusher. Let's move down to the list and make a couple more points here. The Dallas Cowboys, as you see mid-chart here, they actually are in the low impact when blitzing and low impact when not blitzing. Those are not two lists you want to be part of. Again, this is a challenge for the Dallas Cowboys being on both of these lists. San Diego, as I mentioned earlier, number 1 on this list, they're also on the low impact when blitzing. So teams, offensive teams, really can scheme against the fact that San Diego and Dallas are weak against the blitz and also have very little impact when not blitzing. The Buffalo Bills, this is one of the biggest surprises for us when we did this study. The Buffalo Bills under Rex Ryan are on both the low impact when not blitzing and low impact when blitzing lists. It's really surprising once we looked at this. The New York Giants on both lists as well. Obviously they're excited and hopefully going to have some change in these numbers with JPP coming back. And San Francisco, the 49ers are also on both of these lists. Low impact when blitzing, low impact when not blitzing. Now the Niners actually have one of the lowest impact percentages when blitzing at 25%. They're even worse when they don't blitz. Matt Ryan's facing the San Francisco 49ers. It could be a big day for those fantasy owners who have Matt Ryan on their roster. So there you have it, an in-depth view of the teams who are best at applying the blitz, worst at applying the blitz, and those team defenses who are really effective in using the 4-man rush. You know, going into this week, there's one interesting matchup that popped to us, and that is the Indianapolis Colts, a team that showed up on the top 10 list in terms of impact percentage when blitzing. They're facing Peyton Manning, and Peyton Manning is 10th worst in completion percentage versus the blitz. And we also know that Indianapolis is ineffective when they don't blitz, so they have to blitz Peyton Manning. Well, if Peyton Manning knows that a week ahead of time, it could be a long day for the Indianapolis Colts despite their effectiveness when applying pressure. For Real Football Analytics, I'm John Pollard.